Howdy, folks. If you want to see how I got this cutaway in this wickedly cool 40s style guitar, then it's a Gibson 150, I believe. Yeah, I'll give you a hint. If that sounds interesting, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll show you how this was accomplished. Thanks for watching. Well, look what arrived via UPS for me. It's not for me. It's my old blues buddy from California. I won't mention his name. And he sent this via UPS for me to do some of my special work on. Let me open it up and give you a first look. Well, this is a puzzler. It's a 135 from the 50s. I'm going to have to do a little more research. The owner claims it's from the 50s. However, it has a tapered headstock. It's immaterial. He is a poor, twisted bastard like I am, and he wants me to put a cutaway in this beautiful guitar for lefties. Yes, I will gladly and willingly do that. So if that sounds like something you want to see done, stay tuned. This is going to be a long project, and we're heading into the winter months, so I'm not sure how the finish work is going to be, but I can definitely do the woodworking part of it through until it just gets ice frozen cold. Anyways, onward. Well, I found my life-size 175 plans. Alrighty, this is what I'm going to be using for the cutaway on that guitar. Alrighty then, nice. Alrighty, here's the template. All right, getting ready to make the cut with a trusty coping saw rather than a bandsaw. Got it marked off. All right. Here's the piece that I propose to plug the hole. All right, that looks pretty nice. I'm gonna cut a piece of cardboard, and it's shaped like this. Interesting. It's not straight like you would think. Believe it or not, this humble piece of cardboard represents a close approximation, minus the ragged edges, which I will straighten out, a close approximation of the piece of wood that is going to go into the cutaway. My man here is not positive about that. Anyways, that's it. Stay tuned. Well, good morning, St. Louis. I'm out here in my alley. It's as cold as, why, it's cold enough to freeze the monkey off of brass balls. I'm just cutting this piece as kind of a slug to hold on to while I sand the proposed piece of wood for this cutaway down to a workable thickness. Now I'm going to clamp this to this board for 24 hours. It's got a tiny little bow in it, which I've clamped out, and I've got it clamped with my trusty double stick carpet tape. So I can leave that for like 24 to 48 hours, depending on when I can get back to it. Here's me with another nice guitar center acquisition they were throwing out. And I'm going with taking the meat off with this big giant grinding wheel. And then straightening it out on the belt sander. So far it's grinding down pretty good, but I think my disc needs replacing. I'm looking at getting another disc pretty quick. From such humble beginnings, it occurred to me, rather than trying to take that whole big chunk down, that I would cut the shape out first. That's maple on top and pine underneath. And now I can thin this down. Left it a little oversized and straightened out some of the lines here. Now, when I get my new sanding disc, I can take this sucker down. Yeah. There you go. All right, this is the start of the clamping call and mold for shaping that cutaway. Wow, it's cold out there in St. Louis today, out in the workshop. If my calculations are correct, and I just ground this down with some nice brand new 12-inch sanding disc, if my calculations are correct, when this is bent, it should fit in that cutout, in theory. Alrighty. So in order to make this look real and not made by homemade, what I gotta do is I gotta remove 1/8 of an inch of wood here inside of this inside of the top, this side and the back. This has got to be all removed evenly with a chisel so that the piece that I'm going to put in there fits down in there. All right, so that's my next move here, is get that nice and even and recessed. Kind of like that. That should be deep enough. I'm going to measure it. Check for high spots. There's a couple of high spots. Not too bad, but that's 99% there. So now I made this, and you know, just cobble it up, and I'm fitting it in there. Just has to come down just a tad, but that's kind of the concept right there. I gotta just take a little off the two back piece, a little bit off the two back sides there. The front looks good, fits this nice. Just got to make it a tiny bit smaller on the belt sander, and I'm going to glue that sucker in. Meanwhile, this is the start of my curving. I got it made about 3 of these, and I'm going to saw them, and those are going to be for the lining here, for the side to glue up to. Alrighty, got the first piece ready to go in. I'm gonna soak it before I bend it in there, and I'm gonna soak it and then bend it with my heater, my Acme side bender. Alrighty then. So this is what I want right there. That's going to clamp in there really, really nice. Nice brace for the point. See, cut like, fits right on in there, just like that. Alrighty, I've got that cross brace, the Honduran mahogany cross brace glued in there, fit and glued in there for the side to bend around and fit in that recess. Oh yeah, I'm getting excited. Making headway. There's the kerfing. First strip for the back. And yeah, it's a nice brace here. So this is going to insert inside there. Or so the story goes. And there it is with the clamps removed. Not too bad. Here's how you make kerfing. Step 1, you measure a piece of wood out. Step 2, mark it every 1/4 inch. Then with your trusty razor knife, you cut slots almost through. And you go back and cut them really closely, almost through the wood until it flexes. Kind of like that. Yeah. Like that. Now, soak it for several hours underwater. And there's the second kerfing in. Now, it's time to start soaking the piece of maple that's going to go in here. In here. Follow the bouncing ball. I'm going to try something new and different. This is my bending iron. Pretty redneck, huh? After much gnashing of hair and tearing of teeth, a series of clamps, and some cuss words I haven't used in decades, the patient is now resting comfortably. All right, I'm cleaning this up in preparation for gluing or cutting the channels for the binding. I got some ripples in here. You can't see them, but you can feel them. So I'm going to sand that out before I do anything else. All right, now I've got it all marked out for my 1/4 inch binding, that is. Oh yeah. Gonna mark that and mark it with a T. All right. Yeah, it's a little tricky what I'm trying to do here. Sorry about the camera work. More progress on the binding. Got the bottom or the back binding. And now this is the top binding. And then I got just the cross binding here to go, and a cross binding here and here. You can see where it's been carved out, ready to accept the new binding. All right, progress. Here's a closely guarded secret that I'm letting you have because you're watching, and please subscribe. Opened glue containers, I keep them in a Ziploc bag with water in there. I tell you, I haven't used this glue for months, and I could never, before I discovered this hack, if I opened it once and came back 2 months later, it was shot. This, the last time I opened this was almost a year ago, and it's just like new. So there's a good hack for the day. And with a clever arrangement of weights, pulleys, smoke, and mirrors, I've glued the last piece of binding in there. And now comes the big cleanup after this binding cement dries. Now comes the big cleanup. All right, that's the final piece glued in there. It looks kind of bad right now, you know, because it's rough. But once I sand this all, it's going to look good. I'm happy with it so far. Oh, yeah. It's looking good. You'll see. Alrighty, I'm gotten this prepped for spraying. Just waiting for the weather to break. What's all this crap on the guitar? Oh, it's in the guitar's in the way. Yeah, okay, yeah. Anyways. All right. Well, I tentatively think I got a pretty good color batch going on here with quite a concentrated cherry red with just a touch of blue in it. So far, it looks pretty good. I'll let it dry and take it in the light and give it a look. It's just barely 59 degrees, which is just tolerable for spraying. All right, so I'm starting to scrape the binding with my Acme Binding Scraper 2000. And yeah, so I take a nice razor blade and a cork. It's got to be Italian or in a pinch French wine. And make sure you drink the wine days before you attempt this. Alrighty, onward. And here's this cutaway, scraped pretty good and ready for some colorization so I can match it to that. I'm going to use some aged lacquer, some aged brown lacquer. Alrighty then. I know it's brown. They don't call it brown, but they call it aged. And that's, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, George. My pal that I'm doing this for interjected that he would like dots, so I'm putting dots. On the left-handed side, of course. Ha 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 ha! All right, this is moving along. Look at that, huh? Now, when I buff it out and repolish it, I have to blend it back into the rest of the finish with some kind of, with a relicking process, which I will maybe reveal later. All right, well, there it sits. I don't know if you can see that in the light, but I did some really nice crackly relicking there. Yeah, check that out. All right, time to, the back. Got some relicking there going on. Tried not to make it too shiny because the rest of the guitar is kind of dull, but the owner will be able to dull that down to his heart's content. All right, I'm soaking it with some phone oil. I'm going to leave that for several hours and then put some strings on there and call it a day, man. Woo!